Happy Friday, everybody. How we doing today?
Hello. So excited to be making it to the weekend.
Big day ahead, Candy, as you know, and we are, all excited for the weekend here, but also very excited for just the week that we're wrapping up, and excited to be here with you all. It's a beautiful day here in Brooklyn, coming off of a couple of weeks of running around, namely last weekend in Phoenix for Game Five with a group of Top Shot collectors. So I'm happy to be home. Happy to hopefully catch up on a little bit of sleep this weekend. Candy, any plans for you?
I will be hanging out here in the metaverse, keeping up on all the happenings.
Love it.
It's definitely a lot going on every day. It's hard because I feel like if I step away, I miss out. I have FOMO.
I know it. I know it. Well, speaking of FOMO, I have FOMO that we won't cover the entire agenda today if we uh, prolong it any further. So should we just dive right in?
We should. And as a note, I know that some folks were wondering why office hours chat wasn't open for questions. And what we've actually been doing is compiling questions throughout the week based on the topics that you all have been chatting about the most, both in Discord and on Twitter. And that way we can kind of prepare throughout the week to find the answers that you all are looking for. And to start that off, one of the things that we've seen is actually a lot of speculation, which is, kind of the fun of blockchain and projects. But specifically, the last time we had you here, Jacob, there was some questions about the Olympics and with the players participating, how Top Shot might be integrating that experience. So, what clarification can we provide to set the expectations for the community regarding Top Shot and the Olympics?
Yeah. So a couple of weeks ago, when I said we'll look into it, I was hopeful that we would be able to pull it off. But as it turns out, as you all know, I'm an NBA junkie, not necessarily an international basketball junkie. So there is a rule in place called Rule 40 that prohibits us from explicitly using players involved in the Olympics in marketing until the Olympics are over. So we won't be able to do anything Olympic moment related, Olympic kind of nightly quest related. So that's disappointing, but it's also it's understandable, and it's on me for not knowing that rule going into this.
Okay, so that's, not to say that we won't be doing other things throughout the summer, and we'll cover that as we go through office hours here in a bit, but just wanted to make sure that we have, clear expectations moving into, the next couple weeks, the summer, the off season. And speaking of community expectations, something that was a pretty big announcement earlier this week and has kind of kept the community running since it started last year, the Top Shot referee role, our community volunteer moderators. Do you have additional thoughts or context to share about the evolution of our Discord community here, Jacob?
Yeah, well, I think first and foremost, I just want to extend a large share of gratitude toward them. I'm just unbelievably grateful for all of the hard work they've done on a volunteer basis. Um, this plan has been in the works for about 2 months now. As many of you in the Discord uh, are probably aware, we had already pared down the mod room from about 40 volunteers a couple months ago to 20. And as we were progressing through, we've been adding members from the community to our team in house as community reps. So we now have enough community reps on our team that we think we can kind of extend coverage throughout the day. And as the plan originally was to disband this once we had Collabland, the automated tool that will help us do gating of the community. But off of the back of last week with a moderator winning a event and him actually receiving significant threats from the community, it's in everyone's best interest, I think, for volunteers in the community to no longer be a formal thing and not have kind of the stress of them being misperceived as employees or representatives of the company, because they had been nothing more than volunteers, and they had done a great job in that role. And I look forward to continuing to see them around the community. And I just want to say, more than anything, very grateful for all their contributions, and looking forward to Dapper Labs and NBA Top Shot taking the next step with our community, where kind of everyone in the Discord that is a green name is a employee of Dapper Labs, and can help kind of troubleshoot issues. And with Collabland coming soon, I'm very excited about what that can do as far as building engagement and utility around your moments, getting into exclusive chats, and so forth.
So I think that's definitely some good context to explain a little bit more about how this changing environment, and as Dapper grows, kind of the necessitating changes that need to happen in order to keep the community running smoothly. But since you also mentioned, the giveaways, Jacob, why don't you tell us about how last week went? We did office hours with Justin, the economist, on Friday in your absence, while you were hanging out at the Epic Suns activation. So give us the play-by-play.
Yeah, it was truly unbelievable. Just such a, as many of you know, I'm a super NBA junkie. I used to actually cover the league. And so it was not new for me necessarily to be able to access, behind the scenes at arenas, be able to walk onto the court, yada, yada. But being able to do it the night before, arguably the biggest game of Giannis's career, the biggest game of Chris Paul's career in Phoenix at the finals, the gravity of the moment just was so tangible. And for me, it was the first time I had gotten to meet our community in person. Obviously, the pandemic's inhibited our ability to do a lot of IRL. I think as we go, we'll continue to double down on real world utility, real world access, real world meetups. So I think it was a really awesome experience, and just so cool to meet collectors in our community, hear about how Top Shot has changed their lives, hear about how hear their different collector strategies, and just kind of get their feedback around kind of what makes Top Shot appeal to them. And I'm confident that as we go here, this will be just the first of many really exciting ways that we can connect with our audience and connect with the community, and bring the community closer to the action than ever before. And
We lose you there, Jacob. It sounded like you might have cut out.
oh, sorry. Where did I cut at the end?
You had the very dramatic "than ever before" and then turned into a robot.
Apologies. Yeah, just basically saying I think this will be the first of many IRL kind of activations we do, bringing fans closer to NBA action than ever before. And again, in our efforts to make NBA Top Shot the currency of fandom, the currency of NBA fandom, I think these experiences really hammer that point home. So I'm looking forward. I think the team internally has been super excited about being able to do this, and now that we've done it once successfully, we're eyeing some more cool activations in the both for next season and long term.
So you're telling us that there are additional experiences like the sun's activation, and which is a very interesting way to leverage utility of, you know, holding moments and actually having this currency of fandom.
Yeah,
When when can we expect to maybe see more experiences like this? Is this, I know that a lot of times our plans are very long term, but what are we looking at for general timelines if you're able to share?
I'm hopeful that something before next season, maybe sooner rather than later. It's a little premature to say until pen is to paper, but I think we're definitely looking at doing another kind of fan all access event at some point, and my anticipation would be it comes before next season.
Very exciting. And in other activations, let's discuss the Quavo quest. So tell us about the origin of this partnership, which sort of just popped up this week, and we're seeing a lot of movement there. Why is this exciting for the NBA Top Shot community and the collector experience having this type of a partnership?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question, Candy? I think my speakers were a little frizzed.
Sure. I would say, speaking of activations, we had the Quavo quest pop up this week, and that's been making some waves in the community and on social media. So can you tell us the origin of this partnership and why it's exciting for the NBA Top Shot community?
Absolutely. Yeah, thanks for the question. So I love Quavo, have loved Quavo. Went to school in Atlanta and was following Migos when they were bursting out onto the scene. And what's awesome about Quavo is he's genuinely an NBA diehard fan, played ball throughout his life. As some of you may know, he was the MVP of the NBA All-Star Weekend Celebrity Game in 2018, a true hooper and platinum selling artist. And when we initially reached out about a partnership, it just seemed like a perfect fit, not only because he loves the NBA, not only because NBA players love him, but because his music's unbelievable. And as many of you know, Top Shot ripping a pack open, part of what makes that set, part of what makes that pack so special is the soundtrack of it. So being able to work with Quavo to get one of his hit songs onto the pack drop is going to be an unbelievable experience for our collectors as they're ripping their packs. For those of you lucky enough to get a legendary pack, it's going to be as hype as any legendary pack to date. So that's extremely exciting. I would also say what's been really cool for us, and we've stated this before, I'll repeat it here. Our top priority right now is improve it. Well, we have two. Number one is improving the new collector experience. So you come to Top Shot, making sure that there's always something for you to do that ladders into a pack drop. And so with Quavo, we were able to come up with a quest that not only gets people familiar with Top Shot, collecting some of the biggest superstars in the NBA in their moments, but it also serves to help you get more access to the legendary drop, right? For the general queue. Now that we have leveled drops, this is all possible. What I think we are really looking at um, on the other end of the spectrum for where our priorities are is reinforcing kind of confidence in the marketplace and reinforcing confidence in our collectors that we have a grip on kind of content and our release schedule. So what I think many of you can attest to is we've learned from series 2 a ton, and then there were 4, and now with the legendary finals drop, you see edition sizes much scarcer. So trying to kind of toe that line of making rare packs more accessible to more collectors while still keeping them super scarce has been something that you need to kind of go through multiple kind of iterations to drill down on. And I think we're in a really healthy place for that right now.
I do think that that's something that, the community should be able to see as the season has evolved and kind of the series has evolved. But definitely knowing that we've been taking a lot of feedback, not just from the community, but also from the data itself and kind of gauging the performance that way and then making changes as needed are, very important to understand. Um, do you have anything else that you can share in terms of other ways the team is looking to add utility to moment ownership? I know that, we've talked about real life activations, kind of those exclusive experiences. We have, partnerships, say with Quavo coming in, and he's got, not just the soundtrack, but he's got his whole like genie avatar going to be making an appearance for the pack drop, which is a really interesting thing. And I was seeing that hype in the Genies Discord yesterday as they were sharing that information. But what other types of utility might we be looking at?
Yeah, I don't want to. I don't want to bury any of our leads too quickly, so I'm actually going to defer on that and say we have some stuff cooking for the next week or two that you'll be excited about. I'm quite confident in. So just gonna leave it there, and specifically talking about in real life activations and cool opportunities. I think there's one that we'll see at some point in the next little while here that's going to be really fun. So we'll leave it there.
All right. So more to come, but right now cannot release details. That's sort of the struggle, right? Is having things that are not quite ready and we're excited about them internally, but until we can actually release them, it's hard because if you share and then the timeline gets pushed, then it kind of creates that, weird dynamic where people were excited and now they're disappointed. And so we're trying to get information out in timely fashion without setting unrealistic expectations. Let's move on though for actually kind of the end of the season. And like, I don't know if you were expecting that end to the season that we saw, but there was some pretty exciting moments in the last couple games. What can the community expect in terms of maintaining collector engagement until the next NBA season? What are we looking at during the off season, Jacob?
Yeah, so there's no off season for NBA Top Shot. I think that much is clear. We've got a ton of great content coming out this summer. As far as kind of things that we know we've tested in the playoffs that we're excited about and looking to do more, definitely want to do more around quests. Definitely want to do more around trivia. I think showcase showdowns are going to play a role. And the quest feature is now just a week old, but I think it really unlocks a lot of doors. The NBA as a fandom is really a 12-month a year operation. So no doubt in my mind that we're going to have a lot around quests this off season. That should be pretty interesting. And hopefully, the Quavo's quest is the first in a way of partnering with influencers, celebrities, athletes to have them create custom curated quests for the community at large.
And since you mentioned that there's no off season for Top Shot, what about releases during the summer months? So I know that Run It Back has been a topic of conversation and historic moments that are not at that rare Run It Back tier, perhaps. Anything else that isn't covered by those two things that the community has been dialoguing about and speculating on that we can share?
Yeah. So I think the first thing that I can say with confidence is that we will be running it back. There will be rare run it back drops this summer. We'll be taking it to a year earlier than 2013-14, and that's super exciting. But I think just kind of monitoring general, I think part of the problem of kind of teasing anything that isn't etched in stone is our collectors often take things out of context. I mean, I listened to the recording from my last office hours talking about the Olympics, and I made it evidently clear I don't know if we could do it. It's something we'll look into. And now everyone is saying, wow, they gotta actually look into stuff before they start talking about it. I mean, no, listen to the recording. I assure you, this was definitely kind of caveated with, if we can do it, we will, but there's no guarantee we can. So I just want to kind of emphasize that it's certainly a tough balance of wanting to give you guys and gals enough that makes these office hours feel worthwhile for you to attend, and I appreciate you coming through, while also trying to not, say anything that's too emphatic. So what I know for sure is that we will have rare run it backs this offseason. That's etched in stone. Beyond that, we're exploring, to be clear, not committing, we're exploring what common historical sets could look like. More details on that coming soon. And that's about all I can say as far as content goes, but there will be more details later on.
And I guess for content, Jacob, we've mentioned the end of Series 2 for the last couple office hours. We know that the Legendary Pack will be coming, and that's something that, with the Quvo Quest announcement, we've seen some details about that shared. But the community has also been asking about the Playoffs Packs Release 4. And that's something that I don't know that we've got communication out just yet. Do we have a timeline for sharing those details?
Yeah, so when it comes to, I want to tread the line carefully. Candy, can you repeat the question to make sure that I'm, not taking any liberties?
Yes. So we have already announced the Legendary Packs that will be coming out. But previously, it was also mentioned that there would be Playoff Packs Release 4. And the community is looking for more information on those common packs. When will we see, information about that, since, we're kind of at the end of the season and waiting on things to come out?
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at releasing more information on that later today, I believe. We want to definitely make sure that the community knows about it as early as possible. We're looking at next Friday in all likelihood for that next playoff pack drop. There will be more details about collector score eligibility requirements. Hopefully by today, if not today, then early next week. But we are looking at a drop or a release toward the end of next week would be my guess.
All right, so understanding that even though the finals are done, we still have a busy couple weeks as we're rolling out the rest of the content and closing up the series. That's important to know. And knowing that we have a lot of things happening, as you mentioned, like expected either later today or within the early part of next week. So definitely we'll be rolling out those announcements as soon as they're ready to the community. And those announcements generally come out in blog form. We then post them to social media and we post them to Discord. But the first step is always the blog. So it's possible that, if you're keeping tabs on the blog, you'll see it there first. And other things, so Jacob, we saw some new changes, features introduced to the website recently, such as the built-in quest tracker. Do we have anything on the roadmap close enough to share for future implementation. The community has provided quite a few suggestions over the last year about what they'd like to see. But do we have anything that we're ready to announce?
I don't think there's anything quite ready to announce. Definitely want to emphasize that we want to polish up some of the features that we've been building. And there are lots of fixes that we know we need to make the process more fun and intuitive for collectors. One thing that I'm looking forward to is having our pack page eventually become our main kind of source of truth, um, where we're driving attention to the pack page rather than to the blog. And basically bringing more and more content from our blog to our site, I think, is something that we want to do. Um, but yeah, as far as other things that we'll be looking at, um, there have been a lot of discussions about how to make the experience more fun and interactive on a daily basis, and that's where I think you saw quests come out. I think that's where you're going to see a lot more in the coming months, um, to build competition amongst our collectors. Trivia has been a massive success on Twitter, figuring out how to double down there. Collabland, as I've talked about before, is something else that we're really looking forward to and anticipate we'll have um, ready at some point in the coming month or so. So, no clear kind of teases today or breadcrumbs today around which features we're building, but we're exploring a bunch of different things that, really go hand in hand with our core two kind of initiatives. Number one, again, creating a better collector journey for a new collector coming to Top Shot. And number two, reaffirming and reestablishing trust and confidence in kind of our content releases and the edition sizes and all that with every pack drop.
Right. And I will say there's also a conversation that I was having in the community yesterday was about the, kind of changes to the site or changes to the user experience that perhaps people don't notice because it's something you would only notice if it's an issue. And one of those things, was kind of the amount of purchases they were trying to complete, but were being, kind of beat to the punch. And so that's something that we've seen, some improvements in the marketplace and account filtering that has definitely made some progress. But those are things that are not, I guess, highly advertised, because it's part of simply improving the site experience as a whole.
Yeah, so I think like when it comes to the issue of purchase blocks and too many people going for the same exact moments at the same time, the data has been extremely positive in recent weeks. That the little yellow warning on the screen that tells you that another collector is in the process of purchasing that moment, it's brought the transaction fail rate down exponentially, to the point that it's no longer a top priority for us to kind of figure out an alternative solution. So I think we're going to continue to tinker with it over time, make it better, but definitely not something that definitely something that we're pretty satisfied with how we were able to come up with a creative solution that mitigated a lot of the issues that our collectors were having.
And so moving on from, I guess, mitigating some of those issues, there's always some hot topics in the community that have been ongoing questions. And so let's address those in a sort of rapid fire list. Starting with people have for a while been requesting a bid system for the marketplace. And that's something that I know we've been kind of tinkering with internally. Do we have any insight we can shed on how that is going and kind of how we might see the evolution of the way the marketplace currently works?
I think we'll look into it. Again, we're pretty satisfied with the adjustments that we've made to warn collectors when they're eyeing a moment that has been eyed by someone else. So that's not a top priority for now, but definitely something we'll look into.
All right. So another priority that the community has, and is I think maybe the most frequently asked, is actually about the rakeback details that Roham had mentioned a while ago. And we are, working on those internally. And granted, we have many different teams working internally on Top Shot. So I know this is not something the community team does, but do we have any details about that?
Yeah, it's something we're still exploring. No updates to give today. I think there are a lot of stakeholders and a lot of different factors that we're weighing here, but definitely um, nothing that we're ready to share.
I know that there's obviously a risk here because I've seen a lot of speculation in the community about what this could look like. And on our end, Dapper hasn't released information on what the specifics are. So that's something that I think, does need some understanding that there may be some discrepancy there.
Oh, there's rampant discrepancy. I think that it's a dangerous precedent for the community to you know, start making canonizing their own hopes out of what it could look like as the source of truth. I would say on that front, there has been nothing um, shared with the community as confirmed or as valid. So um, I would just caution you all to stay tuned for official word from us rather than presume or run with your own assumptions.
All right. So other topics that are frequently asked about trade tickets. What is our timeline looking like there? Or, the process as a whole, general overview? Where are we at?
Yeah, so trade tickets have been bumped up as a priority. I expect them to happen at some point later in the summer, so that will be exciting. I don't have a clear timeline on it, but it's something that, in the scheme of things, is going to happen sooner than I had initially anticipated, but very hopeful it will be in the next couple of months or before September or in September would be my hope. I don't want to be held to it. Obviously, priorities shift, but that is one that we are in the works of reprioritizing.
Other things that are being prioritized, somebody just asked about this in the office hours chat, the LaMelo MGLE moment.
Yeah,
Tell us
so
about that.
Yeah, so we should have an announcement around that sometime in the next week. Um, and the moment will be out of 499 and it will be part of metallic gold limited edition quests that are launching soon too. So more details about that coming in the next week. Um, but yeah, that's where we're at.
All right. So in the next week, which still gets us, well, in the end of July timeframe. So that was something that we had mentioned in previous office hours. We'll still be able to adhere to that. And next question that we've seen quite a bit is questions about rewards for holding full sets. And specifically, the playoff set is one that we've had conversations around quite a bit recently. And I know that, granted, like holding sets gives you bonus to your collector score, and depending on the size of the set, that bonus kind of increases or decreases based on how many moments are there. But the community has more questions about that. So, Jacob, what can you tell us about rewards for holding full sets?
Yeah, every set, when you complete the set and hold the complete set, you obviously get the collector score bonus associated with having the complete set. Um, and I think with every set, we're looking with a long view here of the value of having that complete set. I would not say that just because we're not doing something in the next month or 2 months around a set, that doesn't mean we're shutting the door on potentially doing something with that set much further down the road. As we've said before, we'll say again, we are not in this for the short term, and the instant gratification of completing a set is the collector score bonus you get associated with completing that set. And anything beyond that is not guaranteed and will be something we look into over time as potential opportunities arise. But definitely not the type of collecting activity that beyond the collector score point bonus that you get should come with an understanding or an expectation that you're going to get additional benefits unless we explicitly say that at the outset of the release.
All right. And so I think that kind of leads into the next commonly asked question, which is about, roadmaps. That's something we've been trying to do a better job with transparency and announcing things as early as we reasonably can. We're providing blogs that kind of outline the next happenings in at least generic terms with the understanding that, yes, things do move quite quickly. And sometimes by the time we post a blog, it's almost outdated. But getting roadmaps for future content, getting information out about, upcoming events, how are we looking for as we move forward and, kind of go into the third season of, Top Shot? I feel like we're kind of at least getting a general cadence that we'll be able to share.
Yeah, so I think we're going to enter this summer as our first kind of full off season for experimentation, which means we're going to be trying a lot of new things to help make it clear um, what a good Series 3 roadmap could look like for us. Um, so I think it's going to be a little bit of a challenge to have a full throated kind of roadmap for the summer as we experiment and learn. But you can safely expect a lot of fun things and some unexpected things, some expected things like rare run it backs, as I said. And you won't want to go anywhere because there's a lot of great stuff coming. What I am at liberty to share today is that we're closing out Series 2, as you all know, next week with the legendary drop and then the common playoff pack drop that will happen afterward. And we are leaning into calling the summer Series 2 Summer. So it's going to be a different series. We're going to retire the moments from Series 2, but Series 2 Summer will be the set name or the series name for our off season that includes run it backs and other great content.
I would say, speaking of great content, right? Like, we're talking about the move from Series 2 to Series 3. And you mentioned this a little bit as we were talking earlier, about the learnings throughout Series 2. But do we have any insight we can share about potential changes to scarcity for Series 3, kind of as a direct reflection on how Series 2 has gone?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I think our team has had a lot of great learnings from Series 2. And one of our top priorities as a team, of course, as I mentioned before in this office hours, is to reestablish trust and confidence. So I think we're learning more and increasingly that collectors like it rare. Collectors also like winning packs and getting packs and earning packs. And that's a really tough line to straddle, right? Because if you make it too scarce, then not enough people win. And then other people, uh, it's just a tough balance. So I think we're learning that it's probably better for communities at large to lean into kind of these really cool sets that people can get really excited about, and making them maybe not quite as large as Throwdowns was, as an example. Yeah, I apologize. There's some construction going on outside my apartment that is causing some unfortunate timing of noise. But yeah, I think this summer you'll see us continue to experiment and continue to learn, but we're absolutely taking the learnings from Series 2 and applying them as we kind of sketch out a roadmap of what Series 3 could look like and what the summer series could look like.
All right. So definitely understanding that, we are continually learning and evolving the product with, the best interest of longevity and collectibility. And having those different tiers does help with, the variety and balancing of collectibility and access, but also scarcity. And those are good things to understand. We've had some questions come in during office hours that I think that we should cover. The first one, actually, it looks like there's some question about how the run it back conversation was phrased earlier, and want to retouch on that because you had mentioned drops, and people are kind of clinging to that plurality of the word drops.
Yes, I think there will be more than one drop. It might come from the same year, but they might come out in different drops. So it won't be one drop for the entire off season. There will be multiple. The technical terminology there might be releases, still TBD on whether the moments will be the same across each of the releases or whether they will be unique drops with specific moments tied to each drop. My anticipation is, though, that they will come from the same year in history rather than across many, many years. I think it's possible that you might see up to, I would say, it's possible that there's more than one season that we run it back to. And it's possible that there are, 2, maybe 3, but I would say certainly not more than 3, and more likely going to be 1 or 2 than 3.
Right. So now that we've got that cleared up, we also had questions from the community wondering about, when we do quests, and, the Showcase Showdowns definitely have a, discrete number of winners, but with quests, people are doing them, and we're not really, I think, perhaps releasing all of the information that they're looking for. Is there a reason that we're not providing the full data for quest completions?
Yeah, quest completions is something that right now it's just fairly manual and requires multiple members of our team to pull that data and share it, but it's not something we're opposed to, and we'll continue to look into surfacing that info to the community faster.
And bringing us back to the Own the Moment moments giveaway that was mentioned, previously when that situation happened. Do we have an update on how that might roll out, or where we're at with that?
Yeah, I think it will absolutely come at some point this off season. Of course, it's been supremely busy with the NBA playoffs and trying to make sure that that goes as smoothly as possible. So that's where we're at with that. I think it's on the radar and in the plans for the off season, but we don't have a date to share.
All right. And it looks like we've got a couple more questions coming in. A lot of them can kind of be grouped into a single question, Jacob, about serial numbers. And this is something that we've talked about in multiple office hours previously, so I don't think any information that's new will come out here. But to reiterate, questions about jersey numbers, serial numbers, especially number ones, moments with badges, and how those relate to collector score. So maybe you could explain the relationship between collector score and these other ways to differentiate more premium moments.
Yeah, so I think I don't necessarily agree. While it is true that they have the same collector score point value as maybe another moment or another edition of the same moment or same play, I should say. Um, as you've seen for the past however many drops, we have a marketplace drop bonus associated. So if you're spending more money on that moment, it leads to more drop points for you getting access to more queues. So I think that is kind of our solve for it. I don't think that there um, is any strong motivation right now to reframe how we're thinking about that. I think the drop bonus is kind of it gets us both best of both worlds, where we're not editorializing which specific moment of a collector, of a player, or of a moment is the most important, because we think that's up to you all as a community to determine. So just to tie a bow on that, so while they don't have a differentiation in collector score per se, they do have a differentiation in drop score. That is, it gives you a better chance, gives you more collector score points toward each drop for the foreseeable future as we continue to do marketplace bonuses based on spend on moments you own.
So I guess that's something interesting to talk about because just like we've seen collector score evolve, we've seen the drop bonus evolve and change between various drops. So is that something that we expect to, keep seeing as it pops up? Because we have drop bonus for marketplace spend, we have drop bonus for Cool Cats holders where they have all 30. There's, a couple different criteria that have been added in as bonuses for each drop. So what are we expecting long term for those?
Yeah, I think we're continuing to iterate and learn. I'm personally pretty satisfied with kind of the direction we've taken, ensuring that marketplace is accounted for on your moments. But nothing more to share on that right now.
And it looks like one of the other questions that's been frequently mentioned during the chat today is actually about Cool Cats because there's some concern as the utility is finishing after Series 2 drops are finished. That's the concern, not I guess without having more information. So what can we say to the progress of Cool Cats, the Nine Lives Lounge, kind of ways that this set will still have unique utility moving forward?
Yeah, as I've mentioned, we have the Nine Lives Lounge, still working with our third party partner, Collabland, to have it ready. Once it's ready, it's going to be epic. We have a lot of really exciting plans there. Some physical rewards for those in the lounge is part of the plan. Some unique experiences is part of the plan. I'm very excited for it, but certainly like a lot of what we're doing, not necessarily something that we have an answer for you today on, but you will see soon enough.
Right. So that's definitely like we have a lot of things that are in progress and it's got kind of a hurry up wait status, which is frustrating when, we're so excited about it, but definitely still prioritizing for the community, making sure that, the plans that we've rolled out so far are still going to continue in development. Is there anything else, Jacob, that you think that we should be sharing with the community? I know that we've kind of gone through a lot of, all over the place sort of questions as people have been asking them, but anything that you think we need to touch on or needs to be shared or further explained?
Yeah, let me just go through some of the questions as I see them, and I'll do some rapid fire. Um, see, any update on buying and selling packs in the marketplace? No, still something we plan to do. There are some kind of fraud risks that we need to work through to be able to do that comfortably. LaMelo MGLE be in a Quest format? No, it will not be. It's possible that there will be MGLE related quests or MGLE related challenges, but the LaMelo ball will not be distributed via Quest. Moving ahead here. Let's see. Uh, Moving through. Is burning anywhere on the radar? It's on the radar and the roadmap. And as you can see on every moment collectible detail, there is an area that shows burning. The only moments that we've publicly committed to burning are the Eastern and Western Conference Finals moments from Series 1 that didn't sell out when we set an ultimatum for them to sell out. So those will be burned at some point and definitely in the roadmap. Um, let's see. Moving. One thing I really wanted to emphasize with the legendary drop for Thursday is that the playoff packs on Friday kind of serve as a rebound pack opportunity. It's not going to be exclusive to only those who missed out on the legendaries on Thursday, but there will be priority queue. There will be one priority queue for collectors getting into the common playoff pack drop on Friday. That will be very similar to the priority Q2, priority 2 queue for the legendary drop. So if you work yourself into eligibility for the legendary, you'll work yourself into eligibility for a guaranteed pack, more or less, with the playoff packs on Friday. So that's exciting. We'll have more communication about that later today, is my hope. And if not today, then later on. But we're looking at next Friday for that release.
All right. So yeah, we do have quite a few blogs coming out today about as Jacob mentioned, the playoff packs. And also, it looks like Zach had responded to somebody's question about trivia winners on Twitter. Those prizes should have already been sent out, and the blog will be released as well later today. So we do have a pretty busy publishing schedule for information. So definitely, as I mentioned earlier, keep an eye on the blog because that's really where the information will be popping up first.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. Other questions to address. Moving through.
We had a question about the off season actually, and wondering if Series 2 is ending with the finals, what happens during the summer? What does that have a season associated with it or a series associated with it?
Yeah, so the summer series, Series 2 Summer is what we're calling it. That will include historical moments and potentially some other really cool stuff. So stay tuned for that. We'll reveal more details when we're ready for it. I do see in the chat a lot of office hours should have been postponed. I'm certainly open to paring this down to every other week, but I do find it important to get you all details as soon as possible, as soon as we have them. So that's kind of leaves us in situations where we don't have the details to share. As we see in the chat, people like to take liberties with kind of comms and make assumptions. So I definitely don't want to steer people in the wrong direction and avoid that as often as possible. But I also want to, provide you all with the details that I do know to be true. And sometimes there aren't enough of those to give a full hour's worth of kind of updates.
Well, it's hard too, because understanding whether the office hours channel is open for people to submit questions in advance, or if we collect the frequently asked topics from the community, either way, we end up having largely the same pool of questions that we may not have cohesive answers for it this time. Like they're not, aside from, yes, we're still working on it, but we don't have anything new to add. We run into the situation where we either don't mention it at all, or we simply provide that there's no update at this time. And
right.
That's, kind of a tricky spot to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. There is a lot of really, really exciting stuff just around the bend. Take my word for it. There are things that we're excited about that we can't speak on here because we want to save those for better announcements when the time comes. But I just want to make it super clear to you all, this offseason is going to be really fun. We have a lot of really cool things going on. We're learning and getting better with each week around how we can reward collectors with really fun, unique, and exciting experiences and making Top Shot collecting more fun and strategic than ever before. So definitely excited about all that's to come here. Let's see. One more thing. Just reading comments, sorry. Yeah, there was a mistake in our comm yesterday. The legendary pack will be the penultimate drop of Series 2. We do have the common drop happening, and that will be announced. So they both will wrap up hopefully in the next week or so around Series 2, but not ready to share more there. All right, y'all. The construction in my background is driving me crazy. Apologies to you all for having to deal with that kind of reverberating sound. As always, really appreciate the questions and the time. Hopeful that this was valuable to you all. Learning a little bit more. The Series 2 summer is going to be really exciting. Can't wait for that. And just want to emphasize that this is the start of a really, really exciting time for Top Shot. So going to end it here. Appreciate all the feedback and looking forward to more.
Right. As always, Jacob, thank you so much for your time. Thanks to the community for asking questions, keeping us accountable for the information that we are providing, and helping keep everybody on the same page. As we go through the week and you all have more questions, we'll keep compiling them and be able to address them again, either next office hours or before, depending on, what it is and how it goes.
Perfect. Thank you all. Appreciate it. Have a good one.